Hi, I want to talk to you about a book today that I believe every Christian should read. Every church leader should read. If you're involved in outreach or connecting people in your church, you should read. And it is not a Christian book. I don't know Gary Vaynerchuk personally, so I don't know if he's Christian or not, or what he even thinks about religious things. But the book, Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk, has some lessons that we can learn as a church, especially if you're a church that is trying to use blogs, Twitter, Facebook, social media avenues to help you. And the reason that I think everybody should read this book for ministry's sake or for as a Christian, even though it's not a Christian book, is because in this book, Gary talks about how through social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, there's things coming up every day, but those are the three big ones, that through that, we have an opportunity to connect with people like our grandparents had when they were growing up. You know, back in the good old days, in the small towns where everybody knew everybody and everybody knew something about everybody, and through the years, that, you know, we've become disconnected as a society as we've moved more into the urban areas and have kind of evolved or whatever. The one thing we have lost is that connection with people. And I was made aware of that when I went to work in Indonesia for 2 years in the late 90s, 1999 to 2001, that the one thing I realized about their culture, that it was real connected. I mean, work shut down. It was a Muslim country. The last call of prayer, I believe like 5:30 or 6, sundown, when they had it, work was over. And the men would wonder why I was still working sometimes, because I would tell them I had to go up to my office and do some work to get ready for the next day. But they would stop working. The men in my neighborhood would play dominoes every night. And I started going and learned how to play dominoes in Indonesia, because it's a little bit different than the American version. But, you know, as I went, I learned more about my neighborhood. I learned more about the culture, which is something I wanted to learn through those domino games. And we were, I connected with more people there. And then when I came back home, I realized we don't do that in America. What do? Get home, shut our garage doors. I could think of 2 neighbors in my street that I know. And that's just because their garage doors are open at the same time mine are, on the weekends usually. But the Thank You Economy teaches you, it's not a book on how to do social media, but why we should do social media. And here's why we should read it as Christians, because we can use social media to connect on deeper levels with people from our church, with friends. We could use social media as an opportunity to share the gospel with other people. And I think about Facebook. There are many people in church I don't know that well at church, and we're in the same Sunday school, we're in the same circles, but we really haven't talked. But I've gotten to know them through Facebook, and then it's made those conversations a little bit deeper at church, or at least a place to start. We can ask, or we can pray for them more specifically when we're praying for people. But I encourage you to read the Thank You Economy, because it's going to teach you how we can use the computer to connect with others. And that is what we're supposed to be doing as Christians. We're supposed to be connecting with others and allowing God to show His love through us. And we could do that in all forms. And so I would encourage you, especially, I know some churches have social media strategists now, or if you're the person in charge of your Twitter or Facebook account at your church, go get this book and read it. And instead of when he's talking about clients, picture church members. And I think you can get a lot of things to apply to your church from this book.